According to Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, artificial intelligence will one day in the near future end up taking nearly all of the world's jobs, and all of the money is going straight to OpenAI. This would be one of the most world-altering events in our planet's history, past, present, or future, and would either be the worst disaster we've ever seen or the start to a blissful utopia. From OpenAI's new paper on job impact to the business owners who've already started planning to lay off workers, on this episode of AI Focus, we discuss just exactly what Sam Altman plans to do with these trillions of dollars and what it means for you. If all the world's money is going from millions of workers' pockets to OpenAI, does the company's CEO have a plan for the newly unemployed mob of displaced people? Well, Altman has apparently been ready for this. You can't knowingly develop technology that will displace so many people from their jobs and not at least have an idea, right? He recently told the New York Times his idea is to, quote, capture the world's wealth through AGI and then redistribute it. We're talking figures like $100 billion, $1 trillion, or even $100 trillion. All figures that would literally put the weight of the world on Sam Altman's back, effectively turning him into Sam Atlas. But for all those that think he's pocketing the money for himself in some super villain get-rich-quick scheme, he's not. He actually has no financial stake in the company. He'll just be in charge of trillions of dollars. I guess you could still qualify to be a supervillain that way as well. Go figure. Sam Altman, or Sammy Atlas, as I suddenly like to call him, has two main ideas of where he thinks the money will go. His first idea is UBI, or Universal Basic Income.
But this idea of like, what happens if you just give people unconditional resources to do what they want with, I think that is important and worth testing no matter what happens with algorithms being in charge. I myself have benefited twice from a basic income, sort of. Once was when I was 19 or whatever, and Y Combinator gave me money to work on a company in a way that was considered very crazy, and you just don't do that, because if you give these people money, they're going to waste it, they don't have control, and you know, some do, but some people, it turns out, do incredible things. And then it turned out that all of that stuff guided the next 5 years of my career after that in really deeply important ways. And the cost of me doing that was not high at all. But if I had to have a job, I couldn't just afford the living expenses. And that was such a transformative thing for me. And I believe that if we, no matter what the policy is, no matter how it's allocated, a lot of people having that experience will be hugely net positive to that.
In a blog post, Sam has said that he's reminded every day of the socio-economic change that's coming sooner than people believe. He says the price of many kinds of labor that drive up the costs of goods and services will fall to zero once AI gets powerful enough to join the workforce. This is great news for consumers because this means way cheaper products, but it's bad for people working to earn wages, so then maybe that means that not that many people will be buying products after all. Unless there's a system proposed that will, give people money. Lo and behold, Sam has proposed something called the American Equity Fund. In this system, companies above a certain valuation would be taxed 2.5% of their market value each year, and there'd also be a 2.5% tax on all privately held land. This all adds up to $13,500 for each US adult in about 2030, according to Altman's calculations. And that does not sound like much money at all, but Altman says that $13,500 would have tons more purchasing power due to the cost of goods being so low. Think inflation in reverse. It's like we'll be living in 1983 again, baby. It should be noted, though, that this isn't a full solution. Where would other countries that aren't the home of these giant AI companies get their money? This leads us to his second idea, funneling the money into science. Even if one of these or both of these solutions work, however, there's still the problem of a select group of people getting very wealthy off of opportunities in AI, while others get proportionately poorer. And if this happens, we might see humanity united in a type of revolution we've never seen before. Look at OpenAI's recent paper that calculated that with access to a large language model, or LLM for short, about 15% of all work tasks in the US can be completed significantly faster with the same level of quality. That's a pretty concerning percentage by itself. But when factoring in software and tooling on top of the LLMs, this increases the share to 50% of all tasks. And that's just with the GPT-4 software. Where does this number go with GPT-5 or GPT-10 for that matter? So what percentage of people does this apply to? Well, according to the paper, only 3% of US workers have over half of their tasks exposed to large language models, but this is before any plugins or additional software are accounted for. After more generative models come out and complementary tech is added, this number jumps to 49% of workers giving up half or more of their tasks to large language models. But on the bright side, jobs like counseling and others that require empathy might be safe. So there's that. By the way, if you're enjoying this content and want to stay updated on all the latest AI news and updates, please subscribe to the channel and help us reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. It'll really help the channel out. Now back to the video. And the effect of these LLMs on the economy will only grow. Recent studies have revealed that the potential for LLMs to program and control other digital tools like APIs and even other generative AI systems. And once these models are made easier to use, it could change everything. Don't take my word for it. Here's a survey dramatically titled 1 in 4 workers have already replaced workers with ChatGPT. Here, 1,000 US business leaders were surveyed. When asked if there would be any ChatGPT-caused layoffs by the end of 2023, the survey said 33% of business leaders say definitely, while 26% say probably. But some are a tad more hopeful. A few days ago, Goldman Sachs said about 7% of workers will be fully displaced over the next 10 years, but most will find full employment in slightly less productive positions. They also predict that generative AI will raise labor productivity by 1.5% per year, doubling the rate. That's seeing the world through rose-colored glasses, I would say. Perhaps that could be the case, where the rise of generative AI doesn't displace so many workers, but instead, workers just get better tools to do their jobs more efficiently. Like this OpenAI experiment, where developers were split into 2 groups, where half used OpenAI's Copilot and half didn't. More who used Copilot finished, 78% to 70%, and they finished in half the time. This MIT paper from a few weeks ago shows how much faster a group of professionals completed a writing task with the assistance of a language model as compared to a control group. And the mean grade was higher for the former group as well. Sounds like it could be time for the 4-day work week, or shorter work days in general. Less time in the office, more time at happy hour, boys. Not quite. Sam Altman pointed out it would now probably make it easier to hire one person to do the jobs of 2 or 3 people. But all is not lost just yet. 69% of Americans would support a 6-month pause on some kinds of AI development. If we see some type of negative economic impact, politicians would have to tax or regulate AI development. Also, if you live in a country where English isn't the main language, GPT-4 isn't that good. This is why the level of automation will vary in different countries. But the law and GPT-4's multilingual issues aren't the only things standing in the way of an AI economic impact. There's one more thing that we usually love to hate, and that's cancel culture. Levi's announced that they would test AI-generated clothing models to increase diversity. And to me, this is hilarious. You're promoting diversity by putting actual, real-life black and brown models out of work? I mean, seriously, whose idea was this? Google Bard? Needless to say, backlash was heavy, and Levi's was forced to rethink their idiotic idea. The point is that people could collectively use their purchasing power to fight for change. And artists were the first to be hit by AI's development, but it turns out, a study by Wired revealed that people just have more of a soft spot for human-made art. They tested this by studying the brain chemical reaction to human-made art and machine-made art. They were the same pictures, but sometimes people were just told the pictures were made by humans, and other times they were told the pictures were made by machines. The brain's pleasure centers literally lit up more brightly for the human pictures. So, in an incredible turn of events, human art's value could possibly go up with the introduction of AI art. That's one thing AI can't replicate: art. Sam Altman did offer one more possible solution to what to do with all the wealth his company plans to receive. And that solution was to let the AGI decide how to redistribute the wealth. ChatGPT 5 could be deciding where all the money goes. How do you feel about that? Let me know in the comments. And click that video on the screen to see what GPT-5 could possibly do once released. Thanks again for visiting AI Focus.